this is Mike Gutzler, and welcome to the podcast where we are having conversations with community leaders about the amazing organizations that they are representing and they're running and helping direct to provide really great quality care for our neighbors in our community. And I have Sue with us today from the Annandale Christian Community for Action, and so it's like to have Sue here. So Sue, would you like to just say hello and introduce yourself?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mike. My name's Sue Mairena, and I'm the president of ACCA, which is Annandale Christian Community for Action. We've been around, our organization was formed 56 years ago. So we've been working in the Bailey's Colmore area for that length of time, helping our neighbors in need.
What made you decide to join ACCA? What was the draw for you?
So actually, I've been involved for about 10 years. Our pastor, I belong to St. Albans Episcopal Church. Our pastor got up 10 years ago and said, "Oh, we need a new OR, organizational representative for ACCA." And I became interested in being able to give back to the community. And so that's how I started. I started as an organizational representative to ACCA, and then I got involved in the finance committee, and then I became president. So for me, it was about helping the people who need help.
That's great. Yeah. So can you say a little bit more about what are all the variety of resources and services you provide for our community, or specifically in those neighborhoods?
Absolutely. So ACCA really is made up of two different divisions, really. We have the CDC, which is our Childhood Development Center, and then we also have HSM, which is our Human Service Ministry. And what we're going to be talking about is the Human Service Ministry part of our organization. The Human Service Ministry comprises of several different programs. The first one is Family Emergency Assistance. The second is Emergency Food and Hygiene Products. And the last is our Furniture Program. We also have other organizations that we support, such as Rebuilding Together, our Crop Walk, which is done in the Annandale Crop Walk, which is done in the fall, Meals on Wheels, Scholarships for Students with Disabilities, a Homework Club, and our Just Neighbors program. So we're involved in a lot of different areas.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary range of services. Like how did those all come about, or were you always doing those from the very beginning, or is this something that's kind of grown over the time and new services have been
grown.
added?
It was really the CDC, which was to provide early childhood development in the Annandale area for underprivileged children.
Nice.
And lower income families. That's how we really started many, many years ago. And so then we added these other programs, which we've been doing for a lot of years as well.
That's great.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
And so you've been, when you all first started, from what I understand, it was a collection of churches that came together. It's like a collaborative Christian initiative. Is that right?
Yes. So we have our board is made up of 26. Our organization was formed by 26 churches, different faiths, different denominations, came together and started Annandale Christian Community for Action. Those 26 founding churches have what we call organizational representatives, which sit on our board and help direct the programs and the mission of the organization.
That's great. That's great. And then I know one of your guiding principles is to be doing what Jesus would do. So how does that lived out or worked out on a daily basis with you all?
I mean, that's really our driving principle behind everything that we do. Our programs are all ran by volunteers. I mean, it's 100% volunteers.
Wow.
I myself am a volunteer, the vice president. I mean, all of them are volunteer positions. This past year, we did hire a part-time development person to help us with grant writing and that sort of thing. Um, but, it goes to the part of helping people in need,
Hmm.
and all of our programs do that.
That's great. Yeah, that's an impressive amount of volunteers to continue to have all those programs operating
Yeah, I think it's like
consistently.
over 500 volunteers in order to make it all happen. And, during COVID, which was an anomaly unto itself, but we received like $6 million in funding,
Wow.
and we were doing all of that with volunteers. I mean, all of our programs were like double and triple loaded. I mean, people were putting in 60 hours a week plus just to fulfill the need that was out there.
Yeah, yeah. So have you noticed that the need for low-income families has changed since the pandemic, or maybe what are some of the challenges that you're seeing some of your low-income families experiencing today?
That's a good question. No, the need has not. It's not. The need is not the same as it was at the height of the pandemic, but all of our services are being stretched as far as the primarily our food program, the food pantry. We've we do a lot of food drives, and the food just goes off the shelf. We also got a grant from the LDS Church, the Latter Day
Hmm.
Saints Church, for $30,000, and all of that food is gone.
Wow.
So the need is still great with respect to the food pantry and also our family emergency and rent assistance program.
That's great. Well, with all those services and the ways that you're able to distribute so many resources, are there any particular stories that come to mind for you that you'd like to share, or some stories of success that are valuable or important to you?
Yeah, I mean, several, but one in particular was we often go, and this is our furniture program. We often go into situations where the family has very little furniture or no furniture at all. Some of them are refugees. Some of them are just, they've relocated and they have nothing.
Yeah.
And so this one apartment we went to deliver furniture, um, the woman thought she could only get a few things, and so when they went into the apartment, there was literally no furniture. They were sleeping on the floor.
Mm.
So our furniture folks delivered what had been requested, and then went back to the warehouse and got some, beds and mattresses and stuff like that to help them. And the woman was just, she was so grateful. She was crying, and it's just that's the reason you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely changed the life, and super grateful.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it obviously, like, to get to that point, and as you mentioned, having 500 volunteers, um, like how does that logistics work? Like how does the collaborative effort between 26 different churches and a variety of different grants all come together at ACCA?
Well, our biggest grant, our largest grant, is through Fairfax County. And so they vet all of the applicants for whether it's the food, whether needing food from the food pantry or furniture, or even family emergency rent and utility assistance. They vet all of those,
Okay.
and then they send us the referral.
Oh, nice.
And so we fulfill that referral.
That's great. And then, so you'd say your volunteers are from all those different churches, and then I'm assuming others in the community that just kind
Oh,
of help
yes,
make that request possible.
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great. Awesome. So, what are some of the roles that your volunteers have, or what are some of the things that they do if we were to come and visit?
Okay, so we have, so I'll just go by like program because
Yeah,
it's easier that
that'd
way.
be awesome. Thank you.
So for our family emergency, we have money captains. That's one role. Um, we where they get the referral from the county, and then they put it into our IT tool, and then it it creates a request for a check to go out for like rent assistance. So we take and we pay the landlord directly for the rent when people are behind on the rent. If they qualify
Hmm.
through Fairfax County, we reimburse the landlord directly. Same with the utilities. So that's one really important position, or volunteer position in that program. Also, I have to say this, a lot of organizations, and we're the same, have we're having issues with succession planning.
Mm.
So our chairs of these various programs have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And we are having difficulties finding people to step up into those roles because it's a huge commitment. Like I said, with respect to the family emergency during COVID, I mean, we burnt a lot of people out, and we don't want to do that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's a real need and crisis that we have is succession planning and following volunteers with strength. We also have stalkers for our food pantry. They're all volunteers. We have people that actually at the pantry fill the bags. We also have volunteer positions for drivers because we're a little different in the fact that they don't come to our food pantry,
Hmm.
we go to them.
Oh, wow.
So we get the order in of what someone needs. It's a 2 week order. We have packers that pack the bags, and then we have volunteers who actually go pick up the food and take it to people's homes.
Wow. That's extraordinary. There's
Um,
different layers of volunteerism, which is nice.
oh yeah, it's a lot of layers. And then lastly, with our furniture program, we have we of course have volunteers that actually um, drive our trucks,
Hmm.
big box trucks, and go pick up furniture that people are donating, and also deliver the furniture that people need that we get requested through the county.
Oh, wow.
So
So if there were
we
people
need
like me
we
or
need
people listening to the podcast that had furniture that they wanted to donate, you'd actually come and get it. Oh,
exactly
nice.
if it meets the criteria,
Oh, okay.
if it meets the criteria.
You mentioned your services really being pressed during the time of COVID. If you could take a moment and think back to that time period in terms of the nonprofit service and services and how they had to adjust and change, could you say a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, so definitely a couple of our programs, the way we deliver our services had to change during COVID. Um, with respect to our family emergency, which is the rent assistance and the utility assistance, there was a large influx of requests because people were out of work, they couldn't work for those services. And like I said, all of that is vetted through Fairfax County. So it was pretty much it was all paper driven, electronic. It really wasn't where we were in contact with anybody face to face. So that program, it was just more of uh, a larger quantity of the same assistance. So producing rent checks, a lot more rent checks going out, a lot more utility checks. With respect to our pantry, what we did was we did gift cards during that so that people that couldn't come out
Mm-hmm.
or that we couldn't send drivers to take the food to people, we had gift cards available so that we were still able to help people who needed food but weren't able to we weren't able to deliver the actual groceries to them. We used gift cards.
Gotcha.
The furniture program had to pretty much stop, because you couldn't go into people's homes, and so then as the restrictions got lifted, we were wearing masks and masking up to deliver the furniture and pick furniture up.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, do you partner with other local entities, like either businesses or other organizations, to fulfill some of
You
your
know,
mission
we
initiatives?
Yeah, we've started doing that more. I mean, we're looking at like partnering with, like, we've partnered with Giant in the past,
Hmm.
Aldi,
Yeah.
for kind of out of date food that's still good and that still needs to be reused. We're looking more into those types of opportunities, as well as different grants with those entities. We've pretty much leaned towards the county. We've done the bulk of our grants in the past have been with the county and governmental agencies, but
Okay.
we're reaching out more and more now into the private sector to see if we can get some grant opportunities through that.
That's great. So, if there was somebody who's listening to the podcast and they were hoping to receive services, is there a eligibility requirement? I think you mentioned that in passing, but can you say a little bit more about what that might be?
Yeah, so like I said, it's all vetted through Fairfax County, but if they were to go to our website, accacares.org,
Okay.
there is a big link on the homepage, need assistance, need help, and then it gives the number for Fairfax County so that they can vet the kind of funding opportunity that an individual might need, or the kind of assistance that they would need.
Oh, that's great. Okay. And then so they'd
Yes, we
have,
don't have intake personnel. I mean, that's a whole nother
yeah, oh my
layer.
gosh, yeah.
Intake personnel. So Fairfax County does the intake part of our programs.
That's great. So then you guys can just focus on the service side and making sure people get
Exactly.
what they need. That,
Right.
that's great. Okay. So hypothetically, if somebody was listening to the podcast and wanted to get involved, how could they do that?
Oh, we need volunteers all the time.
That's great.
Um, Several different ways,
Okay.
but primarily our website, accacares.org. There is a large button at the top that says volunteer, and there is a volunteer interest form. And so we gather that information through the interest form. We also post for volunteers um, on social media. A big one that we've been using, a large one that we've been using, is Volunteer Fairfax, and we've gotten several recent volunteers for some of the specific IT
Oh, wow.
um,
Yeah.
needs that we have. Fairfax County changed their system, and so our IT tool doesn't interface now with the county. No one's does at this point. But anyway, we're writing a new program so that we can interface directly with the new county requirements. And so we were able to get some interns through Volunteer Fairfax. We were also able to get some interested folks for the account. There's a whole accounting system that we're going towards so that we can interface better with the county. And we were able to get some volunteers that way. So Volunteer Fairfax or our website. And we also do some social media posts as well.
Okay. Nice. So as you think about the future and what's coming around the corner, it sounds like the needs are not going away, but like where would you hope to see ACCA in the next maybe 5 to 10 years? What's your kind of trajectory, would you say?
Well, we have some hurdles. One is this new Fairfax County system, and having designing an IT tool to interface. So
Hmm.
that's a huge one. The whole accounting system revamp is another large part of this. Um, so internal systems. That's we're really focusing right now on our internal systems, and we have to get those ironed out. So definitely in 2 years, 5 years, those systems will be in place and operating at high efficiency. The other area that we've been going through strategic planning now for a couple of years in different ways, and we've started to do is look at each program and how we can make them more efficient. And we've done surveys to the volunteers, we've done surveys to the board, and just taking that information and actually applying it to the programs to get some efficiencies.
Okay.
That's one of the things. That's the plus of the new county system, is that some of the old processes that we had in place we won't be able to do. And so we'll be able to look at it a different way and hopefully bring some efficiencies to some of those programs.
Okay, nice. And how about the needs for the community? Do you see any of those changing, or any of those dynamics going to be coming your way in the next 5 to 10 years or so?
At least in the next 2 to 5 years, I don't really see the need changing substantially. I think there's still going to be a run on our services in the near term, for sure. With the economy and then the election, there's always shifts in our services, but I just don't see it going down. I don't see it dropping.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay. Yeah. So let's say that we had someone listening to the podcast that wanted to make a really big gift to ACCA, something extraordinary, and you can pick whatever that would be. What would be something really generous that ACCA could embrace and work with right away?
Well, every donation counts. But I think actually getting donations of food right now, a large donation for food, our food program would be really beneficial, since this one grant that we had has just ended.
Okay.
Like I said, any amount helps. It all goes to the greater good, but $1,000 or more would be wonderful. Would really help us.
Sue, could you tell us a little bit about the Childhood Development Center you all have?
Sure. So it was one of the first programs that ACCA had. The Childhood Development Center was actually started by a group of housewomen, who were taking care of their children, their preschool children, and it grew and grew and grew. And then we started the CDC, which is a building on Columbia Pike, and we serve, I think it's close to 300 children, preschool children. We also have after school and before school care for children as well, for low income families. So they have to qualify to receive that assistance and to receive placement in the Childhood Development Center.
What are any other thoughts or elements of ACCA that you think would be important for people to know or would like to share?
I think one of the things that we've talked about in our strategic planning session is the people moving away from the churches. And because we were formed by 26 churches, the whole religion is tied to our organization. But you don't have to be part of a church to volunteer. You don't have to be part of a church to donate. Our services just aren't for people that attend those churches. Our services are for the community.
Yeah.
And there are people in need all over the spectrum. So what I would ask is that people not get turned off by the fact that it was formed by churches or that it's Annandale Christian Community for Action, but that our services are really for the greater good of all the people, not just any particular religion. So
Yeah. And you're making an extraordinary impact in that community and in those neighboring communities by all those services. So anybody who wanted to be involved just as a neighbor seems like a great opportunity for them.
exactly, absolutely,
That's great.
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I just want to take a moment and thank you for all that you're doing and sharing your time, your very valuable time with us today, but also for doing the amazing work and changing lives in and around the neighborhood. We are really grateful for you and everybody who's there.
Thank you, and thank you for letting us. Thanks for the invite and for letting us tell all of the good things that ACCA does because we do a lot of good work.
Yeah, you guys are doing fantastic work. Thank you.